every Sunday night,
Every Sunday night.
even when we don't want to.
Yeah.
Today's one of those days, man. The East Coast, well, the Northeast is cold, rainy. It's just shitty out. And today's one of those days that would be fantastic to hang under the covers and, you know,
I read.
watch TV or read, whatever. Do some research on an upcoming history episode that you're trying to do. Let us know that we sound okay, look good before we get rolling.
So this is actually a whole season here in Pennsylvania. We have cold and rainy, then we have snow, cold and rainy again, a pleasant month, scorching hot, a pleasant month, cold and rainy.
Yeah. So we essentially have 2 seasons now here in the state of Pennsylvania, winter and summer.
Yeah.
And it sucks. We're not officially winter yet, but it's just a cold, rainy, shitty day here. And we'll get into some stuff that we have for tonight. We got some news stories. We got some, I don't know if we want to call it information, but I did go down to the Atlantic City Tattoo Convention last night. Wanted to check it out because, I was having FOMO of not going to Norfolk. I really wished I would have went to Norfolk, but I decided to go down to AC Tattoo Convention. And, man, it was dead. There was not a lot of people in there. It was Saturday night, 6:30, 7 o'clock, which is typically on a,
That's a
that's
not be able
prime
to move
time.
around, not be able to move around time.
Yeah, and
Where was it, Buck?
it was at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, where they have their concert venue, and it's a beautiful space, plenty of room to walk around. They had it set up perfect where the aisles were wide enough where, like, if it was crowded, you could literally like walk through and not be bumping elbows and asses with everybody. And you could take your time, and it was just it was super super slow in there. And a couple of the artists were saying that, yeah, it just happens to be slow. And I said to the one guy that owns Old Glory, shout out to Old Glory down in Asbury Park. I said, hey man, like, was it slow like this? He's like, yeah. He goes, I just think that people just don't have the money right now. And I think that part of that's true. I think that also there is a multitude of conventions. There just happened to be 3 that I know of going on yesterday. Now, one of them is kind of far away from us, but there's Norfolk was going on. There was the AC Tattoo Convention. And then there was also a new convention that started off outside of Philly called True Blue Tattoo Expo. And I said, man, I wonder if that was kind of digging into some of the crowd. But I don't know. I don't know anybody that went. I don't know what this, scene was. But I didn't really see like a lot of well-known names on the list that were going to that convention.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of a pool it would have been taken away from the AC Tattoo Expo. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Were there any names at the AC Tattoo Expo?
So yeah, there was like Jimmy DeLucio, Bone Daddy with Jay Cunliffe. Yeah, there was a couple of Strange Brew, the dude from Old Glory.
Mm-hmm.
So there were definitely some named people there, but it was just like I said. I mean, I don't know if the True Blue Tattoo Expo was big enough to pull the people away from AC. The Atlantic City Tattoo Expo is one of the longest running in our area. I mean, that thing's been going on for quite a long time. Almost as long as Philly, I think, right?
I don't know. I know Wildwood's been around a long time.
Yeah, so, it just kind of was interesting. I'd be curious, though, that you all that are out there in the internet land, have you gone to any tattoo conventions lately? And if you have, did you notice a drop-off in convention, walk-in traffic, walk-up traffic is what they call it, right?
So the thing about going to a convention that's made mostly of local shops, like I know the guy at the convention is trying to cover his booth price. Like he's gonna have to make, you know, $1,500, $1,000 before he sees any profit at all. Or I could just go see him in his shop and not pay an elevated price, unless it's like something that I prearrange with a guy. Now, if I go to a convention like the New York convention where we went last year, or Pagoda, I mean, there's guys from California, there's guys from Europe, there's guys from Japan,
Yeah.
like guys that, you know, you have to call months in advance and say, "Oh, your Saturday at this convention, can I get this many hours?" And
Yeah.
that makes it worth it, I think.
So they even the guy, man, I wish I could remember his name. He goes, his Instagram is Strange Brew, uh, from Old Glory. He was saying that even a couple that he had, it was either early on the day, Saturday or Friday, were like local dudes from Central Jersey, and he was like, you could have just came to the shop and gotten a tattoo. Like there was no, to come to the convention to get tattooed. I think tattoos or conventions are like you just said. I want to go to a convention. Let's say I want to go to Philly, right? Because I'm going to run into people from the West Coast or from England that I wouldn't normally see.
With Philly?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Philly. Philly's got, I mean, and to be fair, there were even people last night at the AC. There was a group of 4 artists from Arizona. So there were some people from different areas. But yeah, Philly's got, California people. They got people from Europe. I don't, I would say a majority of it would be Northeast.
Yeah, New York, Delaware, New Jersey,
Right.
Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also jam-packed with, 800 artists. This convention was not as big, and it just kind of sucked.
And another thing I think with conventions with new tattooers is that that's just part of what they do now. They do conventions. Like it's just common practice versus when I started tattooing, you might work a convention, you might not.
Yeah.
Now it's just something that's people expect you to work conventions.
I think it's part of the new promotional tools, just like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. I think that's more of the try to get your name out there. I'm not going to knock that either, though, because then that gives you opportunities to rub elbows with other tattoo artists.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
You see, like work.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
This came up, I interviewed Sharky Friday night. So that episode will be coming out probably, I don't know, within a month. Hopefully the interview that I did with Harry Sita of Old Ironside will be out this week. So she was saying like how much at the beginning of her career, her making those connections and traveling across the country was important for her development of her skill. Because she did her apprenticeship, she stayed in the New York area. She did her thing. And then she, decided to go out west, and she, went to Seattle and worked with Vivine Lozanga, and who was trained by Danny Dietzel. You know what I mean? Some big name people, but she said that for her, it helped develop not only like her personality as a tattooer, and being able to deal with a multitude of different things that you have to deal with as an owner, right? But it also helped her hone her skills a little bit, because she would be like, she would watch, let's say, like Vivine tattoo and, pick up something off of her. Or she worked for Pete Giaquinto for a while, right? And pick up something off of Pete, a trick or whatever that he would do, and be like, So what do you think of that? I know you didn't really travel.
Right.
But how do you feel like that? Do you feel like that would have benefited you more if you would have done that?
This is such a tattooed rich area, it wasn't necessary.
Okay.
I could just have a handful of guys from like Philly, New York, and the Jersey Shore that I was friends with, and have the full spectrum of every kind of experience. I mean, I had kids. I had crotch goblins, guys. And you know what crotch goblins do more than anything else? They destroy your life financially. You know what I mean?
Well, so that is a valid point. Let's take that into consideration. That's where she said she was young, didn't have kids, wasn't married. It was
Right.
the perfect
Yeah.
time for her to do that. But I'm saying for you, if a younger tattoo artist were to come up to you now, would you suggest that being part of their after they got their time in, they did their apprenticeship, and maybe like wherever they apprenticed or whatever said, okay, man, now it's time for you to kind of spread your wings and
Yeah, absolutely. I think people should travel.
okay,
Yeah.
because
But then, also, I mean, is Sharky good looking?
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. So I imagine doors were open for her that might not be open for your average.
nah, I don't know,
No, yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if that's the case, man, because you got to remember too, if it were now,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, but 20 years ago. I think
That is true.
there was still a lot of like, not only is she an attractive female, she's black. So there were a lot of stigmas that were still going on.
Yeah, it was still a little bit closed.
So I don't necessarily think that was her case. I think if it were today, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would definitely, that would resonate. It was funny because
Because some tattooers are jealous. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Some tattooers are not like if another tattooer comes into this shop, I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee with him, talk with him. He can look around like because he's another tattooer. But some tattooers, they don't want any part of it. They're territorial, but in a mean way, not territorial like this is where I make my living. Please respect that. But territorial like get out of my shop. Don't look at my techniques. Don't. There was a lot of that.
yeah, I got you.
So Swagger told me, I mentioned this like a million times. Swagger told me a story about Paul Rogers, and it was because Paul came up super country and he worked in the cotton mills before he tattooed. If you were another tattooer working up the street from him and your power supply went, you could bring your power supply to Paul and he'd fix it for you. Or if your machines went, there was the potential that he believed in helping the next guy, not cutting his throat like Coleman, right? Coleman believed in cutting their throats. Sailor
Yeah.
Jerry believed in cutting their throats.
Thank you for the super chat, Sarah. Much appreciated.
And there's still some of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just I agree with that. I think though that maybe where the going to conventions allows you to maybe kind of you to like drift towards your people.
Mm-hmm.
Your people that you're cool with, you can have good relationships with that maybe don't have that jealousy or ego or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I would say maybe ego people are attracted to ego people too. So that works out perfect for them.
I mean, I was short-sighted. I mean, I didn't go to conventions. That wasn't what I wanted. Like I wanted guys like Mike Swaggart to say Justin's a tattoo man.
Yeah.
Like I wanted the respect of people that I respected, like trophies but it was short-sighted. It was short-sighted not to like take advantage of that when it was starting. I mean, what's that? What's So Buck and I were looking at this brochure for the first Philadelphia Eddie tattoo convention, and it says in big letters on it, over 150 artists from around the world.
Right. Now that would be the first row.
Yeah, and that was at a time when there was Philadelphia, Richmond, and
Houston.
yeah, I guess I never. For this area, there was
Oh yeah.
Richmond, Philadelphia. That would either be Philadelphia Eddie or a national convention.
Yep.
And then the Roseland at New York, and that was it. And it, I think that was better.
Yeah, well, I know that you and I have sat and talked about it before, where you regret maybe not going to conventions and meeting certain people and stuff like that, and part of that is just because you're shy. I don't know if shy is the right word, but you're not as outgoing.
To other tattooers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm self-effacing.
Yeah, well, I am to a fault as well, but I had to just kind of start getting over that and being like, well, dude, if I want this thing to succeed, I just need to walk up to people and be like, hey, how's it going?
So there, so you remember the story about Mike Wilson when he tattooed my hand. So Mike Wilson tattooed my hand. He did a skull on a machine. This was at Roseland 20 years ago. And then he was like, hey, man, I want to show this to like Chris O'Donnell and Grimy and all these guys down here. And because I own some little, what I thought of as like a little bullshit shop in New Jersey, I was like, oh man, maybe I'll go down later, because I didn't have the professional esteem for my own self to be able to like stand there and talk to them guys, tattoo artist to tattoo artist.
Yeah, I can see that, man. I still am very hesitant to walk up to booths and be like, hey, man, how's it going? But the way I look at it now, it's like, it's a different thing for me, right? Because I'm not, I'm not in the craft. It's not my thing.
The craft.
But like even last night, dude, I was kind of floored, but I had 3 people that were like, dude, I love your videos, and I was like, nice. I'm like, dude, thanks for watching. I mean, like, I don't do the hey, cool, thanks, and keep walking. Like, I stop. I'm like, dude, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. That's awesome.
Because that's, and the cool thing is that you don't do it as a manipulation. Like, there's people that would do that to manipulate people and to make them feel important. You do it out of genuine gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say it here every Sunday night, every Wednesday night. I'm like, I can't thank you all enough. I mean,
he does the Ozzy Osbourne. I love you all.
Yeah, like I'm back to drinking. I love you, man. No, but yeah, I truly am like grateful when somebody call. Hey, man, I actually the one guy last night, and I didn't catch his name. I'm sorry. I looked at him because I was looking at the booth. He looked at me. I went, "How you doing?" And he was like, "Hey." And then I started to like kind of move on because it was just me just checking stuff out. And he was like, he kind of waited. So he must have thought like about it for a second. And he was like, "Hey, man, I love your videos." So and I turned around. I was like, "Dude, awesome, man. Thank you." And then I turned back to like, but yeah, man,
it's gratifying.
I tell people all the time, like, if you see me in public, but dude, absolutely come up and say hi. I mean, because man, I think some of those conversations too, just like I have conversations with people that listen to the show or whatever on Instagram. Like, it's not an actual conversation, but it kind of makes me understand more of like what everybody wants to see, what everybody wants this to turn into, because ultimately that's what it is about. It's not about what I want. It's about what everybody that wants to watch this stuff it wants. I mean, obviously there's lines that I'm gonna,
You sure you don't want to like?
Yeah, like
you don't want to talk about Taylor Swift?
Just yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, for a perfect example is like we say this all the time. It would be super easy for me just to go out there and just be like, I want to do all the hot new flashy shit, all the media tattoos. Like that's what I want to cover, and but dude, that's not gonna do it for me. That's not gonna be. I'm not gonna feel fulfilled.
I suggest everybody watching, we make a new hashtag: "Fuck media tattooing."
Well, we should probably do it without the fuck. Screw.
Screw.
Screw will work. Yeah, we could do that. I think that the people that I brought that up to thought that was pretty funny,
Yeah.
and they actually liked it. So
Media tattooers.
I you know, speaking of media tattoos, that is kind of part of the news that we have for tonight. One of the things that I was saying to Justin was there's some slop tubers out there that all they do is kind of just go through like headlines of the day and then they talk about it. And, they get millions of people that watch their shit. And I was like, we could kind of do the same thing with tattoo stuff. Obviously, the news is not as relevant or not as abundant as, some of it's covering entertainment news or whatever, right? But there is usually some pretty good stories out there that are floating.
So who was that? Before we get into that, who was the guy that you sent me on Instagram that was doing the tattoo school thing? Was like debunking.
Nando?
No, not he wasn't doing a tattoo school. He was telling you what the tattoo school curriculum is.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Yeah. So this dude on Instagram basically was like, tattoo schools are bullshit, or not tattoo schools. The pyramid schemes of get 10,000 customers.
Oh yeah.
And he basically was laying out the methods that they teach you about, like spamming people and doing all this stuff. Next week I'll try to remember who it is, because his stuff was really good, man.
Yeah, I like that dude. We'll definitely have to. Maybe we'll throw some clips up next week if we remember. But
I'm just a tattooer.
I don't remember.
Was that the tagline?
I don't remember. There's a couple of those guys on TikTok as well.
Or maybe I'm just a street. What do I know? I'm just a tattooer.
Yeah, I don't remember. But one of the viral stories that's going around right now is the LA Dodgers have just won the World Series, I guess within the past week or whatever. I don't watch baseball too much these days. But I thought it was a funny story that, let me throw this up on screen for y'all so you can check it out. So one of the players, Miguel Rojas, finally reveals the truth behind the Kiki Hernandez butt tattoo selfie. Well, this dude got this tattoo on his butt cheek of the animated character Kiki, because that's his nickname. Hold on while the cops go by. And they were like, dude, what the hell's that all about? Well, apparently, from what I understood, everybody on the team got tattoos, World Series tattoos.
Nice.
I think one of the players actually suggested that, hey, if we win, we should all get World Series tattoos. So they did win, and everybody on the team went and got tattoos. That dude Kiki wound up getting it on his ass cheek. I'm like,
Nice.
I don't know if I would have taken my picture with my face right next to some guy's ass like that, but hey, whatever.
So it was amazing when whenever the Eagles win the Super Bowl, people come in and which blows my mind, because I'm just not a sports guy, right?
At all.
Yeah, I'm a music guy, an art guy.
Ask Justin what the score is, and he'll be like, what inning?
And I played football in high school, which is hilarious. But people come in and get commemorative tattoos for Eagles football wins. Or Eagles Super Bowl wins.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I mean, dude, that's a thing though, because even over in the UK, man, like those guys, whoever, like last year Liverpool won the Premier League, there was an influx of people getting, Liverpool FC tattoos and stuff like that, because, it's a little, I was gonna say it's a little different, but it's not. I think with sports, man, it's like, it's a town pride thing. Like, and it's, overly abundant here in Philly.
Yeah, because they actually play in Philly. It's not like teams that are like from New York that don't play in New
that
York.
actually play in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's you know, man. So I understand it. I understand why somebody would do that. I mean, that's not something I would do, but I get it. Um, you know, I just found it funny that those guys went out in public like that, and they were like, "Yeah, man, butt tattoos," and I was like, "Okay." So one of the other things that I found pretty interesting is actually a story that Justin and I. It's not a story, but we've actually talked about this a couple times on this show. And let me share that one instead. We'll go back to here. There is actually a doctor from New York that looked into tattoo flu, and we've discussed it before. Where like if you were sitting in the chair for quite some time, you know, I don't think I've ever experienced it on a quick tattoo, but if I've sat for like a couple hours,
Yeah, your body's under duress.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so this doctor, your next tattoo session might leave you with a case of the tattoo flu. The tattoo flu, according to people who say they have experienced the phenomenon, is a malaise that sometimes afflicts tattoo recipients who get larger tattoos or who sit for especially lengthy tattoo sessions. It is not an actual virus nor any type of infection caused by the tattoo process, but rather the body's immunological, wow, I can't believe I pulled that off, reaction to undergoing traumatic event, according to the experts. This absolutely happens, according to Mary Lupus, MD, a board certified dermatologist and adjunct faculty member at Tulane University, told Nexstar. It's an immune response, and I think it's very dependent on the individual and their sensitivity. Obviously, the bigger the tattoo, the greater the assault, and you're probably more likely to get it on subsequent tattoos because you've been sensitized to the first one. So there you go. I mean, now they even have doctors looking into it, the good old tattoo flu. It's not something that we just talk about and joke about anymore. Now the doctors are looking into it.
Yeah, people were just fucking weak. I didn't mean to drop the F bomb.
You've never had it though. You've never
No.
look on even on a long tattoo.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay. Show of hands, the people in the audience. Have you ever? Why maybe sat through a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hour long session? Have you ever gotten any type of tattoo flu? I don't. I think flu is strongly. That's too strong of a word.
I mean, I'm tired after I get tattooed extensively.
I don't know if I would say it's flu, but I know that I've gotten like the little bit of the chills. You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those people where like if I know I'm getting ready to get a fever, I like my head will feel hot, my mouth gets hot. It's almost like you're catching a cold kind of feeling. And I'll feel like that after I settle down. I go home, I wash my tattoo, and I sit down for like a half hour, watch a little TV, and then all of a sudden I'll feel that. And then it usually goes away within the hour or whatever, but it's definitely something I've noticed. So Chris Hawkins just said once, do you want eye drops, dude?
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Justin's got something wrong with his eye.
It's these aren't the eye drops for like. These aren't the eye drops for like when you red eye, right? These are like the medicated.
Yeah, they're just they're re-wet drops for like people with contacts.
Oh, thank you so much.
So yeah, all right.
It's eye strain from tattooing.
So Chris Hawkins, I got to carry him around because now that the heater has turned on and everywhere, the heater or whatever will dry out my goddamn contacts.
Wow.
Dude, let me tell you something.
Getting old sucks.
It was like Africa hot in that casino last night. I was rocking shorts and I was still sweating like a whore in church. Dude, it ain't 30 freaking degrees out, bro. You don't need to have the heat cranking. Like it's unnecessary.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't handle heat well, dude. I'm fat. Fat people don't
Dude,
handle
I
heat
don't
well.
handle heat well either.
So, all right, let's see here. We had a couple people respond to it. Drag is laughing at the tattoo flu thing. Justin Smet said, never got sick from tattooing, a bit cold at worst, but never felt sick. But my most in the chair has been 2 to 3 hours only. Drag, you laughed, and then he said, I had that 3 days and 3 nights sleeping after 12-hour sessions. Chris Hawkins said once. Irish said tattoo flu ? Stephen Street said had it last week. So how long was your session, Stephen? I get to have a next one. The same thing. Our moderator Nikki said I have 2 bigger leg tattoos. One done in 2 sittings. Fine. The other leg, 1 sitting. Fever for 2 hours. Back in the day, it was probably because I was piss drunk. Well, that might have something to do with it. Get a hangover the next day. Is that the same thing? Nah, Irish. Definitely not. So Sarah said, there was one time I thought I had tattoo flu, but it turns out I actually had strep throat. Caused the tattoo to get infected too. Oof, that's no good. It rhymes with tattoo. That's why they use the term flu, just to be clever, so it sounds good. I agree with that. Yeah, it's like what Justin was saying. It's your body just doing a response. It's not a flu. I think flu's too strong of a term.
Have you ever done anything really dumb after getting tattooed?
So hold on before we get to that.
Okay.
So Sam Hain, Pipes and Backy, welcome back, man. You were on the first time the other day. Good to see you back. They said always get the night sweats after rougher sessions. Occasionally some nauseousness, Jesus, and chills, etc. If it's multiple days in a row. There you go. That is, so that would be kind of what I would explain it as, like the the night sweats kind of, I don't think I've ever gotten nauseous, but could see where that would affect people. Go ahead.
So one time I got tattooed and I went to like a punk rock show. It was like got all sweaty and gross, dancing and knocking other people around and getting knocked around. Have you ever done anything like that? Like got tattooed and then ended up like just doing something, that you shouldn't do with a fresh tattoo?
Nah, I mean, the closest thing that I can think of was I got this done, and the next day I jumped in my truck to drive to Yuma, Arizona, to the sand dunes.
Arm out the window?
Yep.
Yep.
And yeah, that definitely it cooked my arm a little bit. That was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done. I mean, that really is that kind of stopped me from getting a tattoo done by Harry or by Tim Goodrich while I was out there, was just the fact that I knew I was going to be hitting the beach or whatever. I didn't want to be jumping in the ocean with a open wound.
Yeah.
It's not smart at all.
Well, in places where the water isn't filthy, it's smart.
Yeah, I still wouldn't do it, dude. I mean, that's you're asking for,
You think? I think salt water heals wounds.
I still wouldn't risk it, dude.
Not like I wouldn't do it with a tattoo, but if I had like a cut, yeah, salt water heals wounds.
I mean, dude, I don't know about. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever stopped me, like, going in the ocean, even in Jersey, if I had a cut.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, we're drinking the water here. we're kind of immune to it. You're not immune against the chemical waste and the medical waste that washes up on the shore in Jersey, but that hasn't happened here in a while.
Yeah, that hasn't happened for a while.
That that was a pretty regular thing.
The hypodermics that were washing up on the shore.
So Irish just said, dumb after a tattoo, swam in a pond after a back piece.
Nice.
That was definitely, you're
Nice.
asking for an infection, brother. Stephen Street said 3 hours on my back, felt okay while being tattooed, but afterwards was not well. Uh, Fat Cracker said, Buck, an idea for your channel. Have old school and new school tattooers look at photos slash videos of new fresh tattoos and then its healed state and also in its settled in state and guess if it's a, I guess he was saying a dildo as in if it was done by pen or by a coil machine.
Were you here when the woman that had the spider and Tommy Knapp tattoo came in?
No.
So a lady came in, and I took a picture. I just haven't posted it yet. She got a Woody Woodpecker almost 50 years ago. Tommy Knapp did the outlining and the shading, I think. Spider did the color, and the yellow
Still popping.
still there.
Yeah, that's
Still-
impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Line work's still pretty tight. It's amazing.
So
the yellow is still there.
I I ran into Tattoo Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
He was down in AC, and him and I got to talking and whatever. And he has a YouTube channel, which you can definitely check out some of his videos. But he sent me a link to his other YouTube channel. That I guess that he didn't promote it or whatever. Like it was like it's his own personal channel, I guess. And dude, he had an interview in there with it was Marvin Moskowitz and Sailor Fred.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a freaking awesome interview, dude. Let me tell you. So for the people that are out there that don't know, Sailor Fred, his dad was Sailor Barney, who at one point worked in the Bowery, worked with Wagner, worked with Milt
Mm-hmm.
Moskowitz. Man, so dude's been around. They're a carny family. Like that was their thing, man. They were all about like the circus / carny circuits. Sailor Fred wound up doing it. Howie the Hand, which was Sailor Barney Jr. Was involved in that. The other two brothers, I guess, were also tattoo artists, but not maybe as much as Fred and Sailor Barney Jr. or Howie the Hand.
Mm.
And, they were talking about how, certain artists, new artists, like overworking skin
Yeah.
and just really like, breaking it down. And it was a really interesting conversation to listen to. They were also talking about how like there are guys that do know how to pack color, but they also don't traumatize the skin,
Yes.
and that's where the talent lies.
Yeah.
So that's that. As soon as you said that about Tommy Knapp packing the yellow in there, that was initially where my head Spider. That's where my head went. Like, that's what you.
And not a polymer yellow, like a pigmented yellow.
Correct.
So what one of the big measures of skill as a tattooer years ago was how long of a line could you run consistently? Like could you, it wasn't like when you go into a tattoo shop and people are like zzz, 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 like you would put the needle in the skin.
Like you could almost do there was old heads that could do almost the whole tattoo without picking up the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to know your machines and you have to know different kinds of skin to do something like that.
So Fat Cracker just said, got my bottom leg tattooed, and the next day I wore dress pants from the dry cleaners rubbing against my leg, straight to the doctor the next day. I would assume, from the chemicals from the dry cleaner. Oh, man.
So I tattooed a guy one time, did a big piece on his forearm, and he worked at BJ's. And he came in a couple days later, and it was all bandaged. And I looked at it, and it was just this huge, nasty infection. And what had happened is one of the freezers at BJ's had failed, where the seafood was, and he had been responsible for pulling the raw warm fish
Oh,
out of
dude.
the freezer, and the idiot didn't like cover the fresh tattoo, and so whatever it is, it sounded like rotting fish like got in there, dude. It was bad. It was bad.
I can't even fathom, dude. That would be horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we've all seen the pictures that have floated around the internet where people get like horrible infections and stuff like that. I don't know how I got on this page. So, I'm trying to pump up my Facebook, right? I'm trying to pump up my Facebook and Instagram. I needed to focus on YouTube first, and now that I got YouTube cranking, I'm doing the
Pump it up.
yeah. But so I joined a couple different groups on Facebook just to get a little bit more exposure or whatever, and I must have joined some page where it's like dudes that bash tattoos,
Oh, an ink shaming page.
and yeah, I'm gonna probably get off that because I think it's I don't want to see that, dude. I mean, like I don't get into that. That's to me is that's just shitty. And there's also been people that have been called out that are like, bro, why would you even post this? This is actually a good fucking tattoo. It might not be your style that you like, but it's a good tattoo, dude. So you're the asshole for posting it.
So years ago there was
Hold
an-
on, before
Okay.
I do have a point to this.
You have a point. I thought you already made your point.
They had a picture of this dude that got his knuckles done. Okay, the tattoos were bad, right?
Uh huh.
But the healed part is the part that got me. So it was fresh on top, healed on the bottom. Well, kind of healed. The ones on the bottom look like somebody gouged out the dude's skin,
Oh my God.
and there was no longer black in there. What the hell's that?
Going too deep. Going too deep and going over it too many times.
To the point where you would actually have gouges and then no color at all,
Yeah.
or very minimal.
So I'm trying to think of what I call that. Like when a tattoo chips. So you get a bad scab on your tattoo and you maybe pick it or it falls off
Okay,
and it takes all the color with it.
right.
Yeah. But that's someone that like dug somebody so bad that when their knuckles healed and it scabbed so bad it pulled all the color out of there.
I mean, so as far as I'm concerned, I mean, like I just said, I don't agree with that page or whatever. I'm not really into that whole thing, but that definitely deserved to be on there because if that's the case, then that is truly a shitty. I'm like, man, Bone Chill, what's up, man? That was just Wolverine still healing. Okay.
Have you ever seen the sites where they'll take like the tattoo, like the portrait tattoo, and they'll put it on a photo of the person, or they'll take like a lion tattoo and put it in a jungle, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean,
So for this old site in the early 2000s, it was called Tatdoodles, and basically was you could submit Flash, and it was a paid site. You could pull Flash out, but it was also a community. And one of the things you could do is you could put your work up, so other tattooers could critique it for you. And I ran across this one article from the moderator, and he said, things you need to know to survive other tattooers looking at your work. And the first thing that he said was, if you're a traditional tattooer and you put up a traditional tattoo and a photorealistic guy comes on there and bashes the shit out of it, that's probably because he doesn't like traditional tattooing.
yeah.
Yeah, so the dude was like, always look at the guy that's telling you or giving you negative feedback. Look at his work to see if he even is familiar with your style tattooing.
Right. I mean, look, there's a difference between constructive criticism
And just being a jerk.
and just being a total dick.
Yeah.
And you're in there just bashing somebody.
I mean, the only time bashing somebody like that is appropriate is when you're humiliating your apprentice.
Medusa, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Medusa said, hello, peoples. I went camping right after sitting for 6 to 7 hours. I had been trying to track down this artist for 2 years. Okay. I mean, like, you knew what you're getting into, brother. That's all that matters. Not a good thing to be doing after a fresh tattoo, but I get it. Thank you for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. Um, yeah, man. I like that. I think that was the thing that caught me off guard, though. Right off the bat, was that like there was people posting pictures that were they were good, solid, American traditional tattoos or whatever, and then like people were being like, "Look at this tattoo," and then posting it, and I will give that community, whatever the name of it is, credit. Where the people in the comments were just like, "That's a good tattoo, dude. You're an asshole for posting that. Why would you post that?"
So a lot of what I see on there is, the how does this 20-year guy survive? And then the most recent one I saw was it was a tattoo of a cabin in front of some trees, and it was done. It was gray wash. It was done with thin lines, but well done, solid lines, but thin lines like a 3. And of course, it didn't look like. I mean, I understand the kids now can do a tattoo of a cabin in front of trees, and it looks like you're looking at a photo. But for a dude that's been tattooing 20 years, it looked like the work that we did 20 years ago.
Right.
It was done in the style that we were working in. You know what I mean? And this reminds me of something. It's really good that you brought this up, right? For any new tattooers, be careful, right? And bear in mind that 20 years from now, the tools that you're using are going to be outmoded, right? Because this thing just, I forget who it was. Maybe it was Crooked Ken, said the new tattooers should be better than us. They should build on what we did, the technological advancements. So these guys that are just ripping into like the 20-year, 30-year guys, they should bear in mind that 30 years from now, they're going to be getting smoked.
Yeah.
They're going to be getting smoked by the new kids and the new technologies and the new inks.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. That's I wanted to talk about this tonight, and you just reminded me. So, when I was doing the interview with Sharky, we were talking about, she's pretty hip to like the new stuff that's coming out. She's pretty. She holds on to her old school traditions, but I would say that she's not as, maybe like Joe Capobianco or other people that are like I hate Jason Stewart or Sweet, whatever his name is. But she's like, look, you got to respect their traditions and stuff like that. And she said that she brought up this point, and I went, man, that is home run. So there is guys, girls that are tattooing now 20, 25 years, maybe even 15 years. Not, let's say 20 years, okay? And, a lot of newer people are like not respecting them because they're doing their thing and they're newer and they're like, stop gatekeeping, don't be an asshole, da 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 da. And she was like, she tries to not to get into that, but she was like, I think a lot of it is that, we all like bowed down to all the guys that came before us and we're like so honored to have discussions with them and, be taught traditions by them. And then now it's our turn to be those people. And they're like, F you, we don't want nothing to do with you. You're an old head. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right.
That sums it up perfect for me.
Right.
I think that was the best I've ever had anybody break that down.
Because if you were a new tattooer and you disrespected Gene, Body Art, who owned Body Art World, you were going to get thumped.
Yeah, but that's a whole different level. But
no, I don't. But that's how tattooers were. You walk into, 30 years ago, you walk into any shop with a shitty tattoo or shitty attitude, there's a good chance you were going to get thrown out the door, whether it was a biker shop or not.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they were just rougher places.
I just when she broke it down like that though, and she was like, it's more like it's our time now, and they have like no respect or interest. And she obviously was like, that's not it. Not everybody. She agrees with me, where I think I've said this on the show before. If you're in this long enough, you're eventually going to want to turn to the traditions and the history and want to understand it and know about it. Now, if you're in this, 5 years and you decide it's time to skip out already or whatever, then maybe that person's not going to give a shit about history or the traditions of it. But somebody that's vested in it, puts the hard work into it, busts their ass to get where they're at, eventually they might not be into it right now, but at some point they're going to start looking into it, because it's more about understanding where everything kind of came from, and also how designs and the craft itself is secular. There's going to be times where, American traditional is going to be more prevalent again, or there's going to be times where neo-trad is going to be more prevalent.
I mean, you can
God forbid there's going to be a time when
sigilism.
no, what's the one? The ignorant tattoos or
So for instance, Brian Everett and Jack Rudy, right? Brian Everett, early portrait guy, early respected tattooer, right? Was not the photorealistic tattooer that Nico Hurtado was, right? But even Nico Hurtado is sort of became the baseline for what photorealism is now. And how many photorealistic tattooers are there? Like when Nico Hurtado first did those Day of the Dead girls, they were mind blowing.
yeah, like
They were mind blowing.
Yeah.
And now, not any disrespect to Brian Everett, not any disrespect to Nico, but like people have caught up and probably surpassed that
for sure.
to one degree or another.
I mean, I say that every convention, even when you and I went together at Pagoda City, there were people there that were doing like full out masterpieces.
See, and that's Buck and I love tattooing, and we both have our favorites.
For sure.
But I can look at something that I don't like that style of tattooing personally, but still admire that it's a beautiful, beautiful tattoo.
Yeah, like I would say that if I had a style that I like the most, it would probably be the neo-trad, the neo-traditional.
Right.
You're more classic traditional.
Yeah, I'm more pre-1919. Well, now I really like
1990s?
No, now I really like 1970s crude biker stuff.
Right. But I also love seeing all the new stuff that is, crazy. And because I appreciate it. But there's always a little piece of me in the back, because of older generation guys that I've talked to, that I go, man, is it going to hold? What's that going to look like in a year? And I don't know what the answer to that is. And I guess within a couple years, we're gonna find out what some of that's going to look like.
So I just saw this beautiful photorealistic, not phoenix tattoo, all done in reds and yellows. Beautiful, beautiful oil paint quality, right? I guarantee you that within 5 years, he's going to put a black outline on there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to have a red leg.
Irish said, rude people suck. I loathe the bullies. I agree. Sam Hain said, every generation's job is just move the needle towards a better future for the next generation. Perfection is always going to be a moving target. I agree 100%. Drag said, we work in 2 generations together. No problem at all. So he's got, him, and then he's got younger generation. Bone Chill just said, do you have any upcoming videos on specific artists? So I have 2 interviews coming out, Bone Chill. Probably this week will be it's an interview. It's not a history episode with Harry Sita, the owner of Old Ironside in Hawaii, Sailor Jerry's old shop. And then after that will be Sharky. She's not only a phenomenal tattoo artist, but she is a tattoo historian. She actually does teach classes where she's going even deeper. She's actually doing these seminars with anthropologists, like digging into, tattooing from, like Egyptian or you know what I'm saying? Like she's digging deep.
Yeah, there's a book from the 80s called Marks of Civilization, and it's a collection of whatever the plural of thesis is. It's a collection of college papers that were written on. There's one about American tattooing, there's Chicano tattooing, but then there's also like sub-Saharan tattooing, Polynesian tattooing. But it's all very, very academic from
Right.
an anthropological point of view.
So we'll get into the rest of these because there's more questions and stuff. But I wanted to bring this up before it lose my little feeble mind. That was one of the things when I was watching the Sailor Fred and Marvin Moskowitz. They were talking about how Lyle Tuttle had a theory of tattoos being created the day after fire was created.
Yeah.
And Lyle Tuttle was like, he said that basically the day after fire was created, the caveman figured it out. He said they literally probably took a branch or whatever that was charred, and they like jabbed somebody in their tribe with it, and they realized that it made a mark, and then all of a sudden they went nuts because he was like, dude, there was plenty of caveman paintings and stuff like that of people that were tattooed.
I mean, right after, they don't know necessarily, did the cave paintings come first or did the tattooing come first? Because they came together at such a close time.
Dude, it made so much sense. Yeah, I think I may have heard that before, but I think when I heard it, it was more like a doctoral kind of broken down thing. To have it just like layman's terms, fucking boom, here it is. I was like, dude, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Bone Chill. After that, I'm not sure because I do have other interviews set up. I also have interviews coming up with Tam that I'll be doing. I wanted to let you all know I worked out a deal with Tam because Tam is going to be a online subscription magazine. I don't know if they're going to do a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription, and so I will own the rights to those videos. You would have to get a subscription to Tam to see them, but I worked it out with Dave where our members are people that are members of our channel that pay, I'll put it at probably the lowest level or second tier. You'll be able to see those interviews that I do for Tam on my channel behind that paywall. It sucks because I really want to make sure everybody gets to see stuff that I do for free, but it's the only way I could work out a deal with him. So
I saw something
I feel
recently
bad about doing that.
about speaking of rights, about the Watchmen, right?
The
comic book The Watchmen.
Okay.
So the DC made a deal with Alan Moore, who wrote it, that they would only hold the rights to The Watchmen while the comic book was being published. And they inferred that, it's a graphic novel. It's only going to be published for so long. And then it turns out that they still consistently publish it to keep the rights. Like they do limited they do limited publishings. Like Alan Moore, whatever he was paid to do The Watchmen, he's never seen any of the money from the toys, the T-shirts, the movies. It's just amazing.
I laughed because A, I don't know that much about comic books, but B, do you remember Crazy Eddie? Crazy Eddie, our prices are insane.
Yeah.
So if you're from the Northeast, Fat Cracker definitely knows who Crazy Eddie is. Dude had like a huge, I don't know how many freaking, he was like the first electronics store.
Yeah.
Back in the day that was
Didn't
like
he smash stuff?
Dude, the guy on
wasn't
the
he
commercial, I think he did all. But I watched this documentary, dude, where Crazy Eddie wasn't the guy on the commercials, which I thought it was him.
Yeah, so did I.
It's not. And B, that dude, he was a shyster. Like, he would literally so he put the company out on as an IPO, so you could invest in it and buy stocks. So they were doing the audits before to make sure that all your numbers match up before they put it out on the stock exchange. So he would say, like, I have 800 TVs, and what he would do is he would take, I don't know how many boxes or whatever, but he would do a row of 8 and a row of 10 in this warehouse, and then he would have one of his female employees get on the ladder and count. So the auditor would be like, oh, you got 800 TVs, okay. Well, somehow he got the list of what store was next. So he would have a crew of dudes that come at the night, and they would take all those boxes over to the next store.
Wow.
And then, right, so he basically was robbing, right? So he took like $30 million off of his stock. Nobody batted an eyelash. They were like, oh, well, he's reinvesting. He wants to buy more electronics. So he was gambling and doing all kinds of crazy shit with his money. So he took another $30 million out of his stocks, and then at that point he was no longer the primary stockholder. So people were like starting to go, uh-oh, what's this all about? And then come to find out that the government, whatever, found out, and then he boogied over to Europe, and they caught him because he was they had one of the FBI or CIA agents out in front of his house. They weren't sure what house it was, and they put this hot agent out in front of his house, bent over the car, pretending like there was something wrong with her engine. And he walked up and he did a little slappy slap, and she turned around and slapped the cuffs on him and then extradited him back to America. I did not know any of that happened.
That is completely unfair.
Nah, whatever. Anyway, so Bone Chill, as far as history episodes, I'm not sure yet. I have a bunch of stuff that I'm doing research on, so hang in there if that's what you're looking for. Hopefully you enjoy our interviews because we got more of those coming. But there will be history episodes coming out.
Did you ever read anything about the guy that hosted the Gong Show?
Nah.
He wrote an autobiography where he claimed he was a deep state CIA agent involved in like psychological warfare.
You know what, bro? At this point in time, as much crazy shit has happened in the past 10 years, nothing would surprise me, dude. Nothing. Nikki, our moderator, said, I love Chicano black and gray tattoos. Drag said, Japanese, I love much. Fat Cracker said, almost every tattooer at Nico's Golden State Tattoo Expo were realism tattooers. They were all mini Nicos.
All mini Nicos.
I guess we don't need to ask Justin that.
Ask Justin.
Oh, yeah. So, no, I skipped over it by accident. So Fat Cracker said, ask Justin if he could tell the difference between, he's saying the dildo, so a pen and the coil without knowing which machine was used, just by photos and looking at it. And I was like, there's no way you would know that. Can you tell a tattoo, like looking at healed, if it was done by a pen or if it was done by a coil machine?
I can exclude some tattoos being done by a coil machine.
How?
Huh?
How?
Well, I can tell that if they're done in a certain way, in a certain style, you couldn't have done them with a coil machine.
Okay.
Like all those soft variant lines. I mean, maybe there are some guys that could do them with coil machines, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they just hit softer.
So Bone Chill said, I'll be looking out for those. I would love to see a Tony Polito video. I would love to do a Tony Polito video. I actually talked to Richie Fye about possibly doing that because he has access to a lot of the pictures and stuff from old Calcutta. I think before I do that, Bone Chill, I want to get done the interviews with Mikey Perfetto, Richie Montgomery, and then I want to do a sit-down revisited with everybody that was involved that is still alive.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for that.
Yeah, well, you can come with me.
Yeah.
So I want to do that, and then at that point, I would probably do a Polito video. I would like to do a PG and Quinto video if I could, because I could still get information and stuff, pictures and whatnot off of Ronnie Delacqua. So, Pete was a heavy hitter for the New York area. Ronnie said that Tony Polito gets all the credit for being the guy that was the first. What did he say? It was the first shop after the ban or whatever, but it was actually Pete. It wasn't Tony Polito. There was, I forget. I'd have to look back at the time frame or whatever. But there was something. There was a discrepancy of the time frame or whatever. Bone Chill, DC and Marvel were terrible to their artists and creators. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't know. Fat Cracker said I love Crazy Eddie.
So, what I mean with the comment about the coil machine, it's like, again, the Nico Hurtado Day of the Dead girls, right? People would come into the shop and be like, I want this. And I would have to explain that tattoo at the time could be done by a handful of people. But there were a lot of tattooers that were unethical and just gave people some. They didn't give people the Nico Hurtado Day of the Dead girls, right? Because they probably couldn't. And I just think that all those soft tones they're just easier to produce with a pen.
Okay. It makes sense that you're saying that to me, but
It's just softer. It's a
I just-
softer.
to me, then explain how artists in the late 1800s, like Sutherland McDonald or George Burchett,
They weren't doing what's being done with the pens.
but you're talking about softer looking tattoos, more.
I'm talking about the tattoos that look like oil painting. I don't know if anybody can do an oil painting style tattoo with a coil. I don't know
Okay.
many common what do you call it? Competent tattooers that can get all those different effects.
But if it was, so going back to what I was saying though, if it was, I don't know, man, like an old Sailor Jerry tattoo, and one
No.
was done with a coil and one was done with a pen, there's no way you'd be able to tell the difference.
Not when they were first done, no.
There you go. Okay. So,
I don't die on the loyal to the coil hill. I use coil machines because it doesn't make sense to me to switch machines that I've been using for two decades. I can't imagine that I can't imagine trying to learn how to use a new machine now. But if I were a 5-year guy, it's like what when you met Lal Hardy, right?
mm-hmm.
He doesn't use coil machines anymore
I think he said he does for maybe like outlines or whatever, but he said majority of it is done with pens.
because he's open. He's open to it, right?
But he said it was more. I don't think it was necessarily like I'm open to it or whatever. He said that it came down to like a convenience thing,
Yeah.
and the fact that there's no wire to deal with. Like, he said it was more like a comfort thing
Yeah.
over the actual machine itself and how it performs.
So, I was talking to East Coast Charlie one time, and he was talking to me about the kids using the iPads
Yeah.
in his shop, and he's like, he thought it was amazing.
Like wizardry.
Yeah. So he was talking about, you get like a traditional tattoo of a tiger and a snake, when you want to get rid of the snake because you just want to, he's like, yeah, man, they just have these like eraser tools and then you can reproduce everything like all the coloring of the tiger correctly. And, he was absolutely open to the new technology.
Yeah. I mean, I could see where it would make your job a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
But then there's also the time to learn
How to paint.
how to use it.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely this is not a parallel example, but for me, for years I mixed sound using, I guess you would say, analog boards.
An analog board, yeah.
And I started to use some of the newer digital boards that were like a hybrid of analog and digital at the same, right? Right around the time I got out. But now you can mix sound with a iPad and everything is 100% digital. And to me, so if I were to say, oh my God, I lost my job, I have to go back to doing sound, it would probably take me 6 months or so, maybe even longer, to really understand what it's like to mix with that board. And the other problem that I have with that is me, like when I mix, I would literally just reach down. I'd be looking at the stage, reach down. I wouldn't even have to look at the button, the knob,
You could do
to make my moves, because it would be a touch and a feel of, okay, I need more low end, and I'm like, there it is right there. I didn't have to look and be like, oh, I need to make that a +3 instead of 0. It was a reach down and go, bang, there it is right there. I don't, you can't really do that because you got to reach down, you got to go with your pen, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not an actual physical knob that you could touch. There's going to be some type of delay. It's not a instantaneous thing.
My biggest beef with the pens is like, it's not so much the pen itself. It's the guy that says if you use a coil machine, you're tattooing with sticks and branches. It's primitive. Like the guys that use the pens that disrespect coil machines. That's what the beef is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like Fat Cracker just said, obviously lining is better with the coil, but lately it's hard to tell the difference even in just the outline. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's obviously guys that are out there, or tattoo artists that are out there that have, perfected using pens. But I think that there's, the old heads that don't want to change, that are feeling disrespected by some of the newer people that are saying, "Oh yeah, you're primitive. You're in the Stone Ages."
Right.
Well, you know what, dude? Like, from 1900 forward, everybody was using the same machine. There's got to be some kind of magic to it.
There is.
Bone Chill said, I have a pinup girl acetate stencil from Tony, and it's the coolest thing I own. There you go, man. Drag said, we use Procreate too, and for sure the pen is so practical. Fat Cracker said, both sides shit on each other. I would say that is 100% accurate. Anyway, man, we hope you had you enjoyed the show tonight. I thank you for hanging out with us and shooting the shit, man. This is what it's about, creating a community, having the banter and the comments, and, asking Justin and I questions or us reacting to your comments. It means a lot to us, man, because if you guys don't show up, it's just two fat guys staring at a camera, and it sucks. We've been there.
Yeah.
Thank you for Wednesday night crew that's been hanging out with me as well. Don't forget, I will be doing Wednesday night at 7:30, where we go over, try to do some history stuff, but that might always change as well. Thanks for the super chats tonight. It is greatly appreciated. It helps support the show. Helps me recoup some gear and pay for travel expenses to do some of these interviews. And thank you for watching. Have a great, happy week. Be safe. Peace.
Be safe, everybody.